So I'm gonna try this again. Um, Again. So I just, like I said, I've been getting a lot of messages. I ain't been home even an hour yet from work, and it's just been one thing after the other after the other. So instead of just typing up a bunch of shit and put it on Facebook, because I know a lot of motherfuckers don't like to read. I know I don't like to read all the time. Um, like long ass Facebook posts, So I figured I'd just share the message. It's easier. Um, but what I kept hearing is the denial of the God. Like that's our problem. Like that's our biggest problem. Um, and I remember it reminds me of a verse that I used to reread over and over and over in the Bible. Because I was a real big Bible thumper back in the day. Hey Kakai. Um, but I always used to go over the part that was like in all ways and always. You know what I'm saying? And I would always wonder, like, why did they write that twice? Like, always and always. You know what I'm saying? But basically, what it means is, like, in all ways, the divine is present. God is present. And always. Always, meaning all the time, in all things, in all creatures, in all manifestations. God is in every single thing. You know what I'm saying? And when you deny the divine, when you deny the source, when you deny God, um, in something, you deny it in yourself, and when we deny it in ourselves, it renders us um weak. We become weak, and this is in our state, and this is part of the problem. This is if anybody wants to argue, I'm down, but this is the problem with humanity. The denial of the divine, the denial of God within us. When people are like, yeah, I got God in my heart. No, I don't mean only God in your heart. I mean, you are the very fabric of God itself, of the source itself, and which also means that the powers that God holds, the miracles that God is capable of, that source is capable of, the healing that source is capable of, the creation that source is capable of, it's all within you. It's all in all of us, and that's something that we're breaking through right now. Like that's something that we are um escalating to. This is why this is all happening, because because we need to bring ourselves back to our truth. It's been long enough. Um and it's time for us to come back to ourselves. So when you know and we all struggle with this. We all struggle with labeling things good and bad, and labeling things right and wrong, and we all struggle with judgment, and um you know like denying the divine in others. We all struggle with that. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes when things are brought up in you, sometimes when you are what was that word? Exemplifying? I don't know that word. Sometimes when you are being faced with something in yourself, sometimes it's there for you to look at and to recognize and to release, you know and I've been personally, just to keep this shit raw and open, I've been noticing a lot of darkness coming up in me. You know what I'm saying? And when I reflect on my day or whatever, or my week or whatever the case may be, I look and I say, why, how did I fall back into that? How did I, what I'm saying? How did I fall back into that thought form? How did I fall back into that way of judgment? Like, but it's for us to bring it up so that we can release it. A lot of times when we experience things, or we have feelings, or we have thoughts, that we don't like, whether it's sadness or anger or whatever, a lot of times we just impulsively try to dismiss it, or we impulsively try to uh suppress it. And that makes it stay longer inside of us, and it makes it like um it makes it like weave through our fabric more and become more attached to us. When we should be looking at those things, we should be observing those things and getting to the root of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, where did that come from? Where did I learn that? Where did I pick that up at? Where did that idea come from? Where did that judgment come from? And we go back to it. We can trace it back to where it started, and we can say, okay, so that's where that came from. Well, I released that. I'm no longer living there. People like to say that thing, don't ask me about my past because I don't live there no more. Like, right, exactly. So instead of ignoring it, we can look at it and release it. You know what I'm saying? The more you try to sweep things under the rug, yeah, they're hidden for a certain amount of time until there's too much up under there and you can't help but to notice, yo, your rug's a little lumpy, like you got some shit up under there, and you have to let it go eventually. I mean, if not, it just becomes an eyesore. It becomes an elephant in the room. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think that that's a big theme about what's going on right now. Is we're doing a lot of purging. We're purging a lot of trauma and old cycles, and we're getting rid of a lot of things that don't serve us anymore. You know what I'm saying? And in order for us to be at opportunity to release that, we have to acknowledge it, we have to see it, and we have to release it. When we look at child molesters or pedophiles, and I like to use these specific examples because they're very extreme, because they strike a lot of emotion in us. When we like to look at them and we like to judge them and call them bad and say, oh, they need to be killed, or they need their privates chopped off, or whatever the case may be, like, we have to understand that they too are God. Like, we have to understand that they too come from the same fabric that we come from. And to get past the judgment is to understand that every issue has a root, every problem has a root. And this is not to make excuses for anyone. This is not to say it's okay to do those things, because it is not okay to do those things, obviously. But what we're being faced with right now is the root of our issues, so that we may begin to heal the things that are causing pain to others. Like, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of this is coming from our programming, the way our society operates. And most of this is not our fault. Because number one, we were rendered ignorant. Like, we were being blindsided, we were being lied to, we were being manipulated, by our governments, by the people in power. You know what I'm saying? And this is for thousands of years. This is way before us, way before the modern era. You know what I'm saying? So we can't take fault in that. Now, once you know and once you understand, if you go out there and you do something knowingly that's going to knowingly hurt the next person, then yes, of course you're accountable. But you still, being the God that you are, have the free will to go and do that. And it's not like you're going to go to a hell or a heaven. I mean, some people believe that hell is right here in this physical earth. And I truly believe that. I've always believed that, like, hell can't get no worse than this. I mean, it could, you know what I'm saying? But, it's not. The church led us astray, and that's what I mean when I say, the churches didn't have no good for us in the Bible and this and that. Like, that's what I mean. Like, they led us astray. If you can understand where the idea of religion and the idea of building a group of people that separated themselves from another group of people, those ideas were meant, like, not maybe not the original ideas, but like, they're meant to control people. They're meant to, like, strike fear. Like, if you don't live this way, then when you die, you're gonna go here, and this is gonna happen for all eternity. And then people got shook. And then it was like, oh, and the devil runs that place, and people got even more shook, because if you look through history, like deep history, the devil didn't come along. The devil didn't come along until like maybe 1600 years ago. Like, in humanity and ancient teachings have been around for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands, if not more. The shit that didn't get destroyed by the Catholics, you know what I'm saying? Like, if not more, they've been around for a long time. So for the devil to be so young, comparatively speaking, it's kind of a red flag, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, when we bring back the God in each other, when we begin to see the God in each other again, and we understand that God is in all things, always, always. Like, when we begin to see that, then we begin to open our hearts to compassion. Then we begin to look at the child pedophile and say, okay, what is it in you that needs to be healed? And let's start to work on that. Let's start to heal that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this is important. Like, this is where we're coming to, y'all. This is exactly where it's going to. You know, what we're going to experience in this era is something that has not been experienced in a very long time within our species. The human race has been wiped out time and time again because we have understood who we are. We have come into a very high level of consciousness and understood the workings of the universe and of the cosmic laws and things like that, and understood truly who we were and what we were capable of, and then we took that and we used it in the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? And this is where the stories of Atlantis and the stories of Lemuria come from, even though, our government officials and our hierarchies like to say that that's all myth. This is where those stories come from. And when we got to that level and it got to a point where, it was like they're going in the wrong direction. We were wiped out. And I don't see that happening this time. I think we're just going to be taken to a point where we're going to have to make a choice, and the choice that we make is going to be the outcome that we take. I think there's going to be two roads this time, and the ones that want to continue to serve self, to be of service of self, meaning you're going to do whatever it takes to make you happy and fuck who it hurts, fuck who you step on, fuck who you fuck over. Like, if that's the service that you're going to agree to, the service to self, then you're going to go down that path and you're going to see where that path leads. And for those of you that are going to choose service to others, meaning you're going to not give up your free will for others, but to live consciously aware of the self that is around you, and to serve the self that is around you. That's not only humans, that's not only animals, that's nature as well. That's taking care of the air, that's taking care of the land, that's taking notice of the flowers and the trees. If you choose that path, then you will go and you will see where that path leads. You know what I'm saying? But the denial in God is our issue. We've denied the God within ourselves, and we've denied the God in everything else around us. And once we get that, and once we understand that, yeah, that person's an asshole, but guess what? They're a part of me. They're from the same godly power that I'm from. Yeah, that person's a dickhead, but they're a part of me. They are me. And we begin to look at each other in that way, and start to unravel maybe some of the string that's wrapped around them, some of the trauma that's wrapped around them. We can better deal with each other. We can better coexist. And that was my spill. I don't know. That just was a thought that was on my mind. So I wanted to share it with y'all because it was heavy, you feel me? Like, kept bugging. But that's all I got. I'm about to go hit this gym and try to get buff. You feel me? So y'all be blessed. Have a good evening. I love y'all.